What's going on, YouTube family? Today I'm going to be answering a question that I get asked over and over again, whether it's online or if it's in person walking around, is should I buy a car now? Now, I'm not going to give you the typical YouTuber one-size-all-fits answer. I'm going to go over different types of cars you should buy, and also if you're purchasing, whether it's cash or finance. So first, we're going to start with economy cars. Now, the first thing I tell everybody is you need to figure out, is this a want or is this a need? Now, if it's a need, then go ahead and purchase a car. But if it's a want, please hold off because we are trending down to lower vehicle values and lower overall approval rates. So cars will get cheaper as we go down, but there is a catch to that. So stay tuned for that. So if you're looking for a basic economy car, you're going around, you can see a lot of brand new franchise stores have all kinds of deals on some of their economy cars. Don't believe the hype. If you go to a store and you're looking for, let's say, a brand new Corolla and they're trying to charge you at MSRP or a little bit over MSRP, do not pay it. There are enough of these things floating around where you can get a discount. So please do not overpay for a new car, especially when it's an economy car. Now, I highly recommend, if you can, instead of buying brand new, try to buy one a few years old and preferably cash, because what we're currently seeing right now is that the new cars are not really selling because of the higher interest, the higher payments, and the higher insurance. So this is going to put pressure on dealers to lower prices for new vehicles. But on the flip side, we're seeing used cars actually go up. So I highly recommend right now is buying something that's under $15,000 just to get you by, preferably cash, that you could drive around, enjoy, and hopefully in 6 to 9 months, when the market kind of stabilizes and they start offering some of these crazy deals, your car that, let's say you paid 10 grand for today, is now probably worth maybe $11,000 to $13,000. Because as this trend starts to unfold with economy cars, anything under $15,000 is going up. In the last 6 months, cars that were under $15,000 went up on average about 18%. So that just shows you that the affordability crisis of buying new cars with the higher interest and the higher insurance costs and the higher repair costs, people can't afford it. So they're turning to older cars. I've never seen so many old cars go for stupid money. If you don't believe me, I talk about Ford Rangers, a lot of these older Honda Civics that people are buying because they had them in high school. And they said, you know what, I had that car for 300,000 miles. I'm just going to put money into it, make it nice, and drive it till the wheels fall off. So a lot more people are realizing, instead of spending, all this crazy money to have a brand new basic Honda Civic for $30,000, just buy an old one and drive it till the wheels fall off. And so you're going to see this trend continue, like I said, as the affordability crisis gets worse, and that's what's going to bring up the prices of cheap, affordable cars. Now, if you're looking at financing, unfortunately, this is not a good segment for you, because when it comes to economy cars, banks don't like to lend under $15,000. Some even have minimums of $15,000 to $20,000 to $30,000. So if you're working with your local credit union, find out what kind of deals they offer for something if you're buying a used car. Sometimes they require you to have maybe under 80,000 miles, it has to be a 2015 or newer, all these stipulations. So learn all those things before you go out car shopping, because it will set you up for success and you can make better deals out there. Now, when it comes to financing, once again, you're going to have to learn that you're going to be told no a lot. The things that you used to get away with maybe 6 months ago doesn't work that way. It's actually funny. I tell people it's easier to buy a $50,000 car in credit than it is to buy a $12,000 car in credit. Banks don't want to take the risk on some sort of old asset. They want something new, something that holds value, and that's why they always tend to push people into debt with new cars. So be careful. Like I said, talk to multiple banks, multiple credit unions, and see what works for you. So let's move on to the next group of cars, which we're going to lump together is going to be luxury SUVs, regular SUVs, and trucks. Now, this is the most popular segment for most Americans because people are looking for good, solid transportation to bring their family around. Now, my advice, once again, buy used. Do not buy new. The new car prices are over 30% higher than 2019, which is absolutely ridiculous. These things are so overpriced. I still see a big market correction when it comes to trucks and SUVs. Everybody knows you could have bought a really nice truck for about $40,000 a few years ago. Now you can't even buy the most basic work truck for $40,000, which is scary unless you're buying one of the lower model vehicles. So don't mess with these trucks, SUVs, and stuff like that. If you can, preferably buy one maybe 2 to 3 years old so you don't get that massive depreciation hit, but you still qualify for better financing. Now, don't let the dealerships trick you. There's a lot of manufacturers, especially Stellantis, which is Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep. They're giving people crazy rates. I've heard somebody get as low as 1.9% on a brand new Ram, but I told them the read the fine print, I guarantee you, you're paying somewhere. They had to have a warranty, some sort of maintenance package, and they paid full MSRP for the vehicle. So even though they might have saved a few $1,000s when it comes to interest on their loan, they're paying thousands of dollars more and actually paying at MSRP and all these other packages that the dealer throws in. I always tell people, if you look for low insurance rates for these captive lenders, there's always a catch. They're going to charge you with something. They're going to make you qualify for something else. They're going to make you pay full retail. A lot of times it's better just to get a really good loan from your local bank or credit union, go in there and start negotiating, especially when it comes to some of these used cars, because I think, like I said, if you go on 2 years old, you won't get that massive whack of depreciation. So even as the market starts to correct itself, it's like I said, it's trending downwards. So don't believe the hype. There's going to be price reductions all the way across the board. But once again, if this is a need, not a want, go buy your truck, hold on to it, put a decent down payment down, because all banks now are requiring you to put at least 10 to 20% down, because those days of 0% down, I got good credit, blah, blah, blah. A lot of banks don't want that. They want you to put money down because they know in 6 months to a year, the car is probably going to drop anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 in value, and they don't want you to be too upside down. So just as long as you brace for that and you plan for that, come with a down payment, make those payments, and plan on staying in that car for at least 3 years, just so you don't lose that money on interest and basically principal pay down and loss of value. You can just enjoy it, save some money, do things, because I guarantee you in the next 2 years, there's going to be a lot of deals, because now that the market's changing, once again, people are getting smart. So next, we're going to talk about luxury cars and SUVs. This is the one market where I'm going to tell everybody, whether you're buying cash or credit, don't even bother. You are going to see massive depreciation hits insanely quick. I'm sure you've seen Mercedes drop over 30% in a year. Some of these other luxury cars, just the same thing. I remember people paying almost $200,000 for some of these Hummers EVs. Now they're going for about 100 grand. So do not believe the hype when it comes to some of these luxury cars. I know everybody wants Mercedes, BMW, Cadillac, Lexus, and some of these other EVs that are popping out like Tesla. We're seeing the fastest depreciation rate and the fastest amount of value reduction ever in the last 18 months on the luxury car market. The reason why is because once you get over that $60,000 threshold, the market for people buying those cars is very limited. And especially as we start creeping up over double-digit interest, it's going to get only harder for people to qualify for this. On top of that, even if you have excellent credit and you've paid all of your cars on time and you have, let's say, 15% down, and you live in California, Nevada, or a few of these other states, the insurance cost is going to be more than your car payment. It's going to be astronomical. For my R8, I was paying, I think, $2,000 a month for my payment, but my insurance was $1,100 a month. So just imagine paying $3,000 for a luxury car, and that's what a lot of people are doing. We see it a lot in G-Wagons and Escalades, the two most popular and most stolen SUVs on the market. And so insurance rates for those absolutely spiked, and they're absolutely insane. Normally, I would tell people to buy used when it comes to this sector, but even if you buy used, people have overpaid for the last 3 years. The market hasn't corrected yet. There are still people smoking crack that paid $200,000 for a basic G-Wagon and still think it's worth about $170 when you could probably roll up to the dealership and get one brand new for the exact same price. But that's the current market that we're dealing with. A lot of people overpaid for these like luxury cars, SUVs, some of these other things, a lot of these Teslas, Porsche Taycans, these Tesla Plaids, all these luxury cars that people paid way more than what they're actually worth are now being basically brought down to the ground. And then on top of that, some of the manufacturers are actually dropping the price. I heard Porsche is going to be lowering the price of the GT Taycan. Tesla already dropped the price of the new Plaid by over $30,000. So if you bought one 2 years ago, you paid $129,000. You can buy that exact same car today for $96,000. So you got to thank Elon for that one. So not only do you have pressure from the used car market, you actually have pressure from the new car market because they're actually pricing cars back to where they were in 2019. So now you're getting undercut on both sides, and you don't want to be stuck in the middle, and you don't want to be catching that falling knife when it comes to values, especially that dramatic. Next, we're going to be talking about exotic cars. Now, this market has finally come back down quite a bit, and it's getting a lot of people excited because you could buy exotic cars for under $200,000 now. I remember a lot of people are waiting on the sidelines because they wanted Huracans or Uruses or something like that, but they wanted to wait till everything was under $200,000. But now you can buy McLarens, Rolls-Royce, Bentleys, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, under 200K, everybody wants to jump into the market. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Unless you have enough money in your bank to pay all your bills for a year, even if you lose your job today, do not think about buying an exotic car. The market is only going to get worse. It just came out yesterday that they lied about the job numbers or made a mistake, and there's a million less jobs that got taken out in March than what they initially reported. So that just lets you know that the economy is getting worse and it's even scaling up even faster. So do not plan on using your money to buy something like this when you could buy yourself an asset. Now, I love cars. Cars are my passion. It's something I do. But even myself, the reason why I sold my R8 is because I saw how the market was changing. I'm building the G6x6 because I know if I build it, it'll be worth something more than what I spent money on, and it's also rare. I didn't go out and buy a brand new Lamborghini. I canceled my allocation because I was tired of waiting. And then on top of that too, now I'm starting to see these things sell for under MSRP, which is absolutely crazy. So the market has done a complete 180 when it comes to exotic cars. But after all that, and you still want to buy an exotic car, I'm going to tell you right now, the market is just barely starting to dip on those. Now, currently where we're at is all the crypto bros and all the people that made their money from their NFTs. That's the first wave of people that basically took their cars in, got rid of them, and sold them. So that's why there's a little bit of uptick in market sales, and that's why the prices have gone down, maybe 10, 15, 20%. But the next wave is coming. When you see all these smart investors see the writing on the wall, and other people like myself, they're like, you know what? I don't really need this car. I'm going to wait. I see the market going this direction. You're going to see another wave of exotics basically flood into the market. And then once that hits, the second one is all these people that are basically hanging on by the finest string on their sweater because the market is collapsing, they're losing their jobs, the money's not what it used to be, and they can't pay their bills. I know so many people that have Lamborghinis on Turo that are trying just to keep them up there because they can't afford to make the payments unless they rent them about 3 to 5 times a month. Now that's where we're at. And if there's a handful of people that I know, there's probably much, much more. On top of that, to get financed, they're finally going to go back to where they were a few years ago. So back in the day, if you wanted to buy an exotic car, you had to show a track record showing that you can make the actual payments of something that expensive. But during the pandemic, they let everybody and their grandma buy a brand new Lamborghini. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. But they want you to, if you want to buy a $200,000 car, that means you have to have a $150,000 car paid for at least a year before they let you jump up to $200,000. A lot of people just went from like buying a brand new Honda Accord to buying a Lambo. That shit's done. Banks want massive down payments. A lot of the luxury companies I work with, especially like luxury lease partners that do special leasing on exotic cars, they're going to require you to put a big chunk of money down because they see the assets falling in value and they know that people are going to be giving them away or giving them back to the bank. So they want to make sure that they're covered. And they're way ahead of the curve. They started doing this about 8 months ago. Now all the banks are starting to do that. If you go to Ally is going to want a really big chunk of money. Even Lamborghini Finance, which is Volkswagen Finance, they won't even finance their own cars unless you put at least over $100,000 down, which I think is absolutely hilarious. They want to just get the money and move on there. The way they think about it, and also Ferrari, if you can't afford to pay for this exotic car cash, you shouldn't be driving it, which is kind of true, but here we are. This is where we're at now. So if you're thinking about buying an exotic, my advice is to wait. Save your money. There's going to be more deals here coming up, but keep in mind that the financing is going to get much harder. So you need to start building a relationship with a local bank, a local credit union, something like that. So if you have a $50,000 truck loan and you're thinking about buying maybe a $150,000 Audi R8 or an older Ferrari or an older Lambo, go out and buy maybe an $80,000 Corvette just to do that bridge loan to show them that you're making the payments so you'll be ready whenever those exotic cars come up. Next, we're going to be talking about classic cars. Now, I don't talk about classic cars that often because I usually say that for my Discord group, but the more digital we go as far as advancements in technology, anything that's analog usually goes up in value. If you've seen this recent spike in every car that's a manual, it's exotic, has pretty much doubled in price. Anything that's naturally aspirated is going up in value. The same thing with classic cars. This is the only car segment that you're going to hear me say, buy now, because if you wait 2 years, it's going to be too late. I've never seen classic car prices go so ridiculous. Now, it went stupid high during the pandemic, but it's finally gotten back down. There's a lot of people that are finally coming down to earth, that are running out of money, that are just like offloading their projects. If you want to buy, let's say a classic Mustang, Camaro, a Nova, maybe an old Mercedes, Alfa Romeo, buy it now. because it's only going to get higher, because every day there's somebody else that falls in love with this thing, has a poster on their wall, and you could just see the market absolutely turning when it comes to a lot of these cars. So my advice, buy any classic car that you could buy that you've been wanting, and if you have the cash, buy it. If you got to finance and pay a little bit higher interest, that's still cheaper than waiting, because I believe the market is going to double in those things in the next 5 years. If you don't believe me, I'm going to save this tag and I'm going to post it on my Instagram, and I'm going to put a calendar thing for 2 years from now just to revisit this, because that's how strong I am on classic cars. Because you know, a lot of the older guys are phasing out of it, and a lot of younger guys haven't really been sucked in. But if you've noticed, the hottest thing to have is not the brand new Lamborghini, it's to have the older manual V12 Murcielago. You know, same thing, the Countach. Nobody cared about Countaches 4 years ago. You could buy them for $200,000. Now they're $1 million. So it's funny how these trends start to pick up when people my age and even younger people are seeing that, hey, you know what? I remember this car. It was so fun. My dad had a 65 Mustang. I loved it. My mom had a Corvette. My dad had this car, you know, even old trucks. I never thought I would see an old beat up farm truck go for $200,000. But that's the way it's going now, especially some of these crazy, was it Dodge Power Wagons? I saw one that was all restored, all original. I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna go for like 30, 40 grand, 200K. So it just surprises you on, like I said, as the market changes, people know that these cars are getting out there less and less. And the people that are restoring them, it's a lost art. There's not very many people that work on these things. So they're just going to get more rare. People are going to be buying them up for parts. There's also collectors that I know that have acres. I'm not joking, acres of cars, and they're sitting on them because they're literally, this is their savings plan. They're going to wait for 10 years and offload them because they think they're all going to triple their money. So like I said, this is where the market's going now. If you buy a classic car, buy it now. Everything else, I would wait unless it's a necessity. But I'd love to know your opinion in the comment section below. What do you guys think, and what kind of cars are you looking for? Are you currently looking at buying an exotic car, classic car? What are your thoughts about buying a classic car today? Because I always love to pick people's brains and see what they think about as far as like buying their car now, even getting in the debt and getting a loan just so they can get a car and not have to worry about the price doubling or tripling so far up where they're not able to afford it in 6 months. Anyways, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next video.